Today we got something important to talk about. That is, how do you apply the things that you are getting online into your particular domain? So I'm a proponent of improving communication skills and going through one of the best courses I've ever seen, which is Art of Conversation by Prakhar Gupta. I got a lot of tips on how to interrupt someone. So, in his context of course, he mentions that we are using that course to go from a lower power to a higher power. So, we are scaling up. That's why when we interrupt someone, we use what we call a disclaimer, which basically means that before interrupting or before arguing a point to someone who you want to network with, who is more powerful than you just give them a disclaimer that you could be wrong about this, that you are not personal about his points, but you are thinking from a different perspective. Given an, Giving an example, it might sound like, okay, so there is a person A who is more powerful than you, and it tells you something about feminism. And you don't you have to argue in a separate point, but you can't say to his point to his face, okay, you are wrong. Of course, you can't do that. So you have to charm your way through it. And how do you do that? Is you say something along the lines of, okay, I might be wrong about this, or I may have a different perspective about this, or what do you think about this possibility? And say something along the lines of this. And you can be a little bit apologetic that I'm sorry that I think a bit differently about this. So these kinds of things sound a little bit apologetic. And today I was watching a video of Jin Gang. Sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but he was talking about the mistakes that we make in workplaces, which hinders us from being seen as a productive member of that workplace. And that includes us using apologetic sentences when interrupting someone. Or we say during a meeting, let's say there is a meeting going on, you are sitting in front of all of your team members, and there is your manager, your boss, and your co-workers from different sections of the workplace, and they're talking about something, and you have an idea that you want to speak, and you speak like, okay, sorry to interrupt you guys. Sorry to interrupt you guys. It sounds so apologetic, and it sounds that you're not confident of what you think. You're not confident of your opinions. And that's a bad sign to your manager or your boss. So instead of those, you can use something like, okay, we might look at it this way, or here is my recommendation. These sound neutral. These sound like you are confident. These make you sound more confident and more charismatic. So every time you shouldn't take tips in their own face value. You have to just mold them in a way which is best suited for you for a particular situation. And that only comes through experiences. When you get through situations which expose you to different outcomes. The second point was how to mitigate your need for fulfilling the gap. This is an interesting thing because many people do it, including myself sometimes, when I'm zoning out during a conversation. What we do is we'll speak a sentence, and where there should be a full stop, we start saying things like, okay, that's just my opinion. Okay, that's what I think. That makes us seem so unsecure about our opinions that we look less powerful, we look less dominant, we look less courageous and less confident. And when you are not confident of yourself, then people don't want to listen to you. Hell, even people are confused about what they should believe in. If you are confused, why would they believe you? So we should learn to appreciate that awkward moment, that silence. We have to suppress our instinct of filling the gaps. We don't need to fill the gaps. That's the second thing. And the third thing would be to speak up. Many times during meetings and whatever is going on, you just don't want to speak up. You become less interested in it, or either you are tired, or either you are thinking about what to speak, you're waiting for the right moment. But there is no perfect moment that comes that allows you to speak. So you have to create a moment for yourself. It could be through bodily gestures, through audio gestures, anything. It can be one of these two ways. You can use body signals. You can just raise your hand a little bit or do some signs with your hands that will make people aware that you are wanting to say something. And the secondly, if they don't listen to you, then also you can use audio signals. You can be like, okay, I have something to say while raising your finger or your hand. That gets people's attention towards you when they're having a heated argument. It works the best. These are all of the things I've experimented, not a lot, but a little bit. And they work. They work really well. But the thing is, when you are starting to implement these things, just starting to, what happens is you have to keep that in your mind every time. So whenever you are zoning out, whenever you are just talking with the flow, maybe you can't implement it. You return back to your original state of fumbling or doing the bad habits that you shouldn't. Okay, this shouldn't sounded like a vocal fry, which Jin Gang mentioned is the another thing. What it basically means is that when you are tired or when you are not wanting to speak, when you become lazy with your communication, what you do is start speaking from a low air filled lungs. What you do is start sounding like, okay, this is, you start mumbling and you start muttering your words and talk like, talk in a tone which sounds so vocally underconfident. It happens to me too. I've done it in this video around 2 to 3 times, if you notice it carefully, because that's the basis of what your brain does when it doesn't want to do anything. You just start half-assing it. And it creates a voice of uncertainty which breaks your communication. So, one of the exercises he mentioned is you need to take a deep breath into your lung and start counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You need to start counting till your voice starts to become slower and slower and your tonality starts to degrade. And before you see that it is starting to degrade, you immediately take another deep breath and start speaking again, counting from one. You make a practice out of it, and it helps you get better at it. So we have till now completed 4 points. First is what to not do in the beginning of the conversation, beginning of your sentence. Second is to avoid filling in the gaps, which usually comes at the end of the conversation. And the third is how to interrupt, how to come into the conversation. Fourth is the middle thing of the conversation, which is your tonality and your vocality. So I'm thinking I'm going to make an exercise sheet out of this, which I'll share it with you guys and tell you that, and we can just, you know, practice it every day for 30 days and see how improved we have gotten. I'll do that. So, my point still remains that tips always lie on a spectrum. You have to be able to, where is the marker? Oh, that's a big one. You have to be able to mold it in a way which suits your needs. And this applies to every part of your life. There is not a single particular rule for everything. You need to think about possibilities where you can implement various things in a way that is advantageous for you. These are the things which I gave you will work in a professional environment. It might not work in a dating scenario. You have to model it in a way which will become charming when you are in that scenario. For personal scenarios, when you are with friends, it will be something different. So you have to just research how these things work. And it's the only way you're gonna get good at it, by researching. I mean, you could go online and find a lot of tips and find a lot of tips which are not general but for your specific needs, and they are good. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're false. They might be good, but what you gonna do? Remember then, remember everything, every tip there is, or would you take the right path of starting from the beginning, learning as you go, and building the roots, the foundation, and then going upward? That's what I'm doing, to be quite honest. Every time I start a conversation, I feel like I don't know anything. And then when I keep talking, just start building it out from there. It's so interesting, like I'm making something out of nothing. In fact, before starting this video, I was thinking about what to say, what to do. I did not have a way. goal to write it down and just start speaking to you. I thought of myself that I will just start speaking and figure it out as I go along. So that helps. That sense of achievement gives you a dopamine hit. We like that a little bit. So that's one of the ways I tackle the situation. Look here, I tried to fill the gap. We need to prevent that. And actually, one another thing which people get stuck in, a mistake I've also done in the past, is sticking to the tutorial loop. I mean, from birth, we are doing that. We are not implementing anything, we are studying, we are not using our knowledge in the practical world, and we think everything will work out in its own way. No, they won't, because if you do not experience it, if you do not put yourself out there, you're not gonna get burned. And if you do not go through the fire, you are not going to evolve. So learning any tip doesn't make you invincible. What makes you invincible is your practice, how much you are willing to put yourself out there and learn from your mistakes, learn from your experiences. No one is obligated to teach you and make you do it. No one is gonna hold your hand and make you learn things which you want to do. The things you want to do, you have to do them yourself. Education, going to school nowadays is basic. Your parents want that. They're sending you to school. But what you have to do yourself, improving on your personal skills, it's only up to you. I just got a cold. Oh shit. The next 2, 3 days are gonna be hell for my voice. But coming back to the point, you need to grind yourself. You need to go through that fire. And so, this was quite an informative and an action-based video. Also, I'll make that chart and I'll send you guys so that you can practice and record yourself while you practice so that you can maintain a streak of what you're doing. I'll start building something that will help people maintain streaks of their habits. I'll build something of that nature. It's a good innovation. But more on that later. I guess we have had a good conversation till now. See you guys later. Bye bye.